guys, as always, thanks for stopping by. Goya beans, cancel culture, and what that has to do with me and you. Let's talk about that. Today's episode is brought to you by CMMG Inc. A huge selection. How huge? Well, I'm about to tell you. Banshee pistols and SBRs. The Resolute series of rifles and Resolute carbines. The Endeavor series of long-range rifles with more chamberings than you can shake a stick at. And an entire series of def can suppressors. They also have complete uppers and complete lowers, and for all your builds and repairs, parts, and more parts. And they even have tactical bacon. No joke, they offer bacon. American made with one of the best guarantees in the business. They have a lifetime quality guarantee. Y'all know I'm a fan. Check them out. You can find out more over at CMMGinc.com. And yeah, I think the bacon is exciting. I have some. It's fantastic. All right, let's talk about Goya beans. What a mess. Have y'all been following this? So the other day, the CEO of Goya Beans came and talked at the White House, and he said some positive things about President Trump, and people lost their ever-loving minds. Because this is who we are in a lot of ways, and the entire wave of cancel culture came in on Goya. They tried. I went through today, and there's a boatload of articles about what's gone on in the last week over Goya Beans, and they being they, you know who they are. They tried to cancel Goya, and America didn't really stand for it, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I also want to talk about what I opened with, you and me, and what this has to do with us. So Goya Beans, the CEO talked positively about President Trump, and they went nuts, like they literally went nuts. But then just today, Ivanka Trump tweeted this picture, and people are losing their minds over this one as well. There's already pundits saying that she's going to receive federal punishment or federal indictments because of this, because it's a person who is on the federal dime promoting a specific product. But people are losing their minds over this picture as well. I think it's kind of funny. Goya. But I don't even know if I've ever even had Goya beans. I don't really know. But they are at the forefront, and in a lot of ways, it has been shaking things up. It is symptomatic of where we are as a culture. Now, y'all have heard it talked about as cancel culture. That's not a new idea. The idea of public shaming has been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And now we have digital shaming. Just last night, John Legend's wife deleted 60,000 tweets over some pretty serious stuff that were in her tweets from the early part of this decade, or last decade, I guess, 2013, 2014. But they have canceled out her Twitter she has because of cancel culture. It's part of who we are. It's part of what we are. This is what we do. I was kind of making a list and digging around on the internet at some past ideas, and one of the ones, I think, what they're trying to do with Ivanka, it reminds me a little different situation, but it reminds me a little bit of the Al Franken situation. Those photos surfaced of him, bang, he's out. Now, that doesn't happen to everybody. You have photos that surface and people won't even touch it. It reminds me of Prime Minister Blackface up in Canada, as well as Governor Blackface just north of here in Virginia. And people won't touch that, but even people that are quote unquote on our side, they'll say, hey, he shouldn't be in office. Why does it work one way for one person and not for another? So this is part of who we are. Cancel culture has been around for a long time. Anybody that was around during the Vietnam era, I'm telling you, if you ask them about Hanoi Jane or Jane Fonda, they will get physically angry. And it's a challenge. And I understand. I get it why. You don't have to explain it to me. I get it completely. I know not to bring her up to a lot of folks. And I'm not a big Jane Fonda fan. I get it as well. I'm not going to go after her movies or go watch her movies. She doesn't do a lot these days. But there's other guys that I totally disagree with them politically and ideologically, but I'll still see their movies. I think Sean Penn is ideologically wrong, but I still liked him in Walter Mitty, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I can in some ways a little bit, and call this whatever you want, but I have learned to separate the artist from the artwork. I think Tom Cruise is a complete ding-dong. But I liked him in Tropic Thunder. I think he's absolutely hilarious. His artwork in that movie is fantastic. Plus a lot of other movies he's done, they're great. But there are people that will completely and utterly cancel these people out over what they've said and they've done. I get it. I totally, completely get it. I've been around a long time. I've been through a lot of boycotts and a lot of, hey, you can't deal with this company, you can't deal with that company. This is going to date me, but how many of y'all remember this? Can y'all remember in the 80s when Procter & Gamble was the demonic company and you couldn't do anything with Procter & Gamble or buy any Procter & Gamble products because they were literally the devil and devil worshippers. Yeah, complete boycott on them that lasted about 15 minutes. I want to talk to you a little bit about me. But then, I want to say this, and I'm not sometimes y'all call me like a fence rider, where you're so right in the middle of things. Well, I think the older you get, the more you're able to go, you know what? Not one single company is 100% right. Like, none of them are. There's problems with all of them. And it's a challenge for me to go through and pick and choose aggressively who we'll buy from and who we won't. Because if you really look at any company, there's going to be problems. There's no perfect ones out there. But personally, I won't do any business with Dick's Sporting Goods. They drew a line in the sand. I'm going to stay on this side of the line. I don't have any problem with that. And full disclosure, in the early, probably 2008, 2013, 14 in there, I was spending probably $2,000 and $3,000 a year in Dick's just in the fishing department. I mean, that's where I got almost all of my stuff done. Just like that, I'm out. I'm out of there. I haven't been back. Will not walk back in their doors. That's just me. I also won't do business with 511. I don't do a lot of business with them anyway, but I don't agree with Tim Kennedy as their spokesperson. So 511 for me is out. I will not buy anything from 511. Also, Troy Battle Sites. Man, I love their sites. They've got some fantastic stuff. But as a Instagrammer and stuff, and this is just part of it, it's not worth taking pictures on my rifles and showing Troy Battle Sites because they hired somebody that was involved in the Ruby Ridge shooting. I don't know if that individual still works there, but that's not a brand that I'm able to do a lot with. I've got a couple pair of them, but I kind of steer away just a little bit. I kind of steer away. I will not buy a brand new Canic. I have no problem if you own a Canic. I don't, not at all. In fact, I'm getting ready to test one from Pew Pew Tactical. They're getting it for me. I will not purchase a brand new one because I don't want my dollar bills to be going to Turkey because of the way they're currently treating Christians. But I'll buy a used one. I'll go to a parking lot and buy a used one from a gentleman or some man or woman that sells one locally used. Don't have a problem with that. I won't do any business with Springfield Armory. We have really short memories on that one. A lot of folks have moved beyond Springfield. I won't. I just will not own them. I won't test them. I have told several companies that I do testing with, I will not touch a Springfield Armory weapon. A lot of y'all have XDs. I'm okay with that. We can still be friends. I don't like when the cancel culture has worked its way into our side of this battle. Like, we are just as fired up. You got to cancel this company. You got to cancel that. I know there's a movement. Several of y'all have emailed me about Subway and Subway's open carry policy. I get it. I don't have a problem with you being fired up about that at all. But here's the hard part of this entire thing. I have guys go nuts on me in the comment section all the time. Johnny, you supported that company. You're awful. You're not, going and canceling this company. That's awful as well. And I always say the same thing back to them. You're typing that on a phone made in communist China by literal child labor. And until we have, and then somebody will say, well, I've got a Galaxy that was made in Korea. Well, stop it. You have plenty of Chinese-made products right now in your house. And until you get rid of all of those, don't be so high and mighty. Yes, it's okay to try to be careful and work with companies that we agree with. There's a lot of companies like this one. I flew out there to CMMG before they were ever a sponsor. I looked them over. I hung out with the owner, went out to eat with them, and I feel really, really good. I have no problem supporting them completely. Are they perfect? I don't know, but I do feel comfortable enough sharing them with you guys, and I mean that. I really do. However, until you get on your high horse, or maybe you get off your high horse, how about just stopping and going through all of the fabric in your house? You have clothing made in sweatshops, literal sweatshops by forced labor and child labor. You do. You have shoes that were made by child labor. I have an Apple computer sitting right over there. It was made probably in a sweatshop. All of this that we're talking about right now is taking place within the Google universe. And I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. There's no way to proceed forward in this culture without dealing and doing business with companies we don't agree with. However, I think the Goya thing's kind of cool. Like, they have absolutely exploded in the last several days. You've got Ivanka Trump tweeting pictures of them and supporting them. And I have even saw some pictures yesterday of different places in the United States where they are having to limit Goya. You can only get like 2 or 3 per customer because people are buying them out completely. What does that have to do with us today? I've said before, I think this sleeping giant has had just about enough. You look at, and we're talking about not talking about blue jeans or what pants we wear or what beans we eat. I'm talking about overall. Look at the McCloskeys in St. Louis. They are now unarmed by their government. You look at Seattle, and it looks like their police force is going to come down 50%. And I think that's why all of this stuff matters. Because as the cancel culture is trying to strip away our rights and move things, one incident happens in Minneapolis, and then we have people that are literally being disarmed. And I'm not being an alarmist. This is where we are right now. Things are going on that are affecting you and me. I have a theory, and I told several people that today, that people are fed up, like literally fed up. I don't think we're going to be in the streets holding up Goya beans. I don't think it's going to be that at all. We don't use their tactics. But I do think at the polls this fall, I think it's going to come very clearly that we are fed up with that nonsense. It's a mess. Where are you at with all of this? Would love to hear your opinion. I'm not a big cancel culture guy. A few companies I won't do business with. But I'm also willing to stop and go, you know what? That camera right there was made in China. And that's part of where we're at right now. This one was made in Italy, and to everybody that is against us, against who we are, against the fabric of the United States, against these United States that I love, and against that flag that I absolutely will salute and I will stand for, and against anybody that's against all of this stuff that we love, hold dear, that is the fabric of who we are, including that Bill of Rights that I so love, including the Second Amendment. Anyone against that, from my cold, dead hands. Bye.